What's going on, faithful? Yo, what's up, guys? Just want to do a couple things. I'm only doing videos right now. I know my other guys are ready for tonight, so I just want to do some videos and go through them and get through the pressers. So, just want to do that real quick and get it all done with. I'm sure the other guys will be talking about our stuff tonight. So, all right. If you're first time here, please, please, please hit the like subscribe button if you would, please. I thank you very much for that. And of course, plenty of things I need to go over here real quick. Sorry. And of course, I want to welcome you to the Always Faithful 24/7 podcast. All right. I know my fellows now are with me, like I said, but they're obligations, and I just wanted to get on here and do some videos, and that was it. All right. So if you would, please follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. All right. It's a great crew. We really are. So, and basically, I want to go through some videos and stuff, and that's basically what we're going to do. All right. So I'm going to get started right now. That will be all good to go. All right. All right. Just hold on for a second, guys. And I know me and Jizzle were working on Jeff Garcia's interview with David Lombardi. I know we didn't finish it out, but I'm going to finish it right now. That way it's all done and over with. Okay? I didn't want to leave that hanging. All right? I got it set up and everything from last time we looked at it last night. All right? So here we go, guys. It's all for you.
No, that's a great point. And with everything going faster, those are so many variables that you have to adjust to. Trey Lance had a total of 318 college pass attempts. And that happened at a level that's even slower than D1, right? That happened at North Dakota State. So, really, the fact that he has made the progress that we think we've already seen this year, I think is remarkable because he didn't play throughout almost all of the 2020 calendar year. Due to COVID, they moved their season to the spring, and he only played one game before the draft. So he came out as an eminently raw prospect. But Kyle loved the fact that he was able to manage the game in college. You know, everybody on YouTube sees the runs. They see him trucking guys that are going to be future accountants, right? They're not going to play in the NFL beyond that level. That's all great and makes Trey Lance's highlight reel awesome. But what Kyle liked was the fact that he was going, to the right place with the ball consistently, that he was lining up under center. He was running some play action in college. And it seems to me that we already see signs of that translating, those mechanics translating into Kyle Shanahan's system. How hard was it for you, Jeff, to go from, not only college, but the CFL to the NFL and a Bill Walsh system where obviously there was a lot of under center work? I know it was a different time in the game, so maybe you had some of that under center stuff, at levels prior. But for you, as far as the small intricacies went, what was the hardest part of the adjustment?
Oh, absolutely. I went from the college game where I was under center 100% of the time to the Canadian Football League game where I was probably under center 20% of the time and was always in shotgun. And your footwork was so different than the rhythm passing that happens in the States with the collegiate game at the time and the NFL game. Now, the NFL has adapted to what college does with so many things and the spread offense and the shotgun and not being under center as much, especially some teams are hardly under center at all. But that being said, for me, coming back to the NFL, the dimensions of the game changed again. In the CFL, I had more width, I had more length, I had a bigger end zone. Yes, I had one more player on each side of the ball, but there was more room to work with, bigger windows of opportunity. All of a sudden, the NFL game, things were that much faster, windows closed that much quicker. You had to be ahead of it. Your footwork had to be on point, especially in the West Coast system at the time, where your foot speed, tempo, depth, stretch of your drop, all was dedicated to what the route combination was. So different route combinations required a different depth or tempo of your drop. It could still be a 5-step drop, but it might be a quick 5 if you're throwing a speed cut out, or it might be a stretch 5 with a hitch to throw a 12-yard hook route. So you had to adjust and adapt to certain play structures and then find out what the defense is doing, find out where they're going, find out if that window is going to open or you have to get to number 2 or number 3 in the progression. And so all those things were happening in the pre-snap and post-snap extremely fast. And that was the biggest transition for me. I struggled initially. I went from having my first start, which was positive, to having 4 really difficult starts. And then I got benched and I had to watch from the sideline. And when I went back into the game, I had made some adjustments. I kind of relieved some of that pressure I was putting on myself to be Steve Young, to be Joe Montana. I had to be me. I had to play the game like I know how to play the game and involve how I was being coached and what I was learning to be able to be successful on the field.
You know, you talk about adjustments, Jeff, and obviously you have to make them over the course of your career and the larger picture. But there was a time about exactly 19 years ago. Yesterday was the anniversary that you had to make the adjustments in the middle of the game. I know that you recognize this picture. I know that the fans who are watching right now recognize this. I know it says 15 years later, but that's because I wrote this a good 4 years ago. It's unbelievable how time flies. Right. But this was the comeback against the Giants. There was a time when you had to make adjustments when you're down 24 points late in the third quarter. I know you did something on NFL Network the other day because they also recognize the anniversary of this. But is this the high point? What was this the high point of your career, this comeback in a 49ers uniform? And we could talk about Bill Walsh and everything surrounding the West Coast offense and your history with him, fellow San Jose State alumnus. But I just have to know if this was the pinnacle for you, because it was such an awesome moment for so many of the fans watching right now.
Right. I mean, for my NFL career, this is the standout game. This was the game that really exemplified what I was capable of, who I was as a player, how I had that never say die attitude, constantly fighting, not only to prove myself, but to lead the team, that never say die mentality. And that game, man, there were so many ups and downs and like a roller coaster of events that took place. And yeah, we found ourselves down big time in that third quarter, late in that third quarter. And actually, when we started that 2-minute drive, it was probably with about 5 minutes left in the third quarter when we got the ball and we decided to go no huddle and just call the plays at the line of scrimmage. And I hit T.O. on that first shallow cross with about 2 minutes left in the quarter, where he was able to break the tackle and get into the end zone, and we followed it up with the 2-point conversion to cut what we thought was an insurmountable lead of 24 points, being down 38-14, to all of a sudden down 38-22, 16 points with the full quarter left to play. And I thought that was a critical score because I think it gave us definitely some hope, gave us a little bit of momentum. We just needed some critical stops by our defense. And like I've spoken about before, it took multiple things to happen. I mean, New York was killing us on offense. They were going up and down the field that game. but they put the brakes on a little bit. They went into a stall mentality, like let's just try to work the clock and run the clock out and keep the ball on the ground, while our defense stepped up, forced some punts. Some things fell our way. They missed 2 field goals in the fourth quarter. They had a roughing the punter or roughing the punt returner.
Yeah, I remember that.
There was a personal foul on the punt returner. That was a big 15-yarder for us. I mean, there were some things that definitely went our way that fourth quarter and gave us a chance to make the comeback. It was just an awesome feeling right there in Candlestick to have that moment, to have that experience with the fans who had stayed, who hadn't left the game yet, who were still there, to be able to cheer us on and live that memory, live that experience with us.
Well, as you can see here, you were talking about 38-14, so I pulled it up. At different points of the article, I looked up on Pro Football Reference what the mathematical win percentage was for you guys on that day. And at 38-14, after Jeremy Shockey right here, former Giants tight end, dropped this pass, it could have been the touchdown that sealed it. After he dropped that pass, your win probability was 0.1%. So the Giants had a 99.9% chance of winning that game before it all turned around. And then it obviously had that wild finish. First, you found Ty Streets for the eventual winning touchdown, and then you had that crazy field goal play. As Steve Mariucci later said, bummer for the New York Giants. But after the game, you shared this story with me, Jeff, for this piece. And this is one that I think a lot of 49ers fans haven't heard yet. So maybe it's a good chance to share it with them. But Bill Walsh helped really discover you at the start of your career, right? And then you ran into Bill Walsh in the 49ers locker room after this win. I was hoping that you could kind of share those bookends, those memories of Bill Walsh and how his, the memory of him really surrounded this game.
I have so much to be thankful for Bill in what he meant to my career, meant to my opportunity to play for the 49ers, to get into the NFL. If it wasn't for Bill, I may not have ever gotten that shot, may not have ever had the chance to obviously play for the 49ers. Who knows about the NFL in general? But because of him, because of his role back with the 49ers on the management level back in 1999, he had a fondness for me from our college days. When he was coaching at Stanford, I was playing at San Jose State. We played against each other. In my senior year, we had a battle against the Cardinal, and it came down to a last-minute drive, and they ended up beating us. But after that game, Bill was very complimentary of me, and he made a comment to the newspaper, to the media, that Garcia kid on the other side of the field did some Joe Montana-like things today. And so I ran into Bill later that season. At the end of the season, I was practicing for the East-West Shrine game at Stanford Stadium on their practice fields, and Bill was out there practicing. My dad was like, "Hey, Jeff, why don't you go up to Bill, introduce yourself, tell him thank you for the kind words that he said about you after the game when you guys played earlier in the season." So I went up to Bill and I said, "Hey, Coach, I'm Jeff Garcia." And he's like, "Hey, I know who you are." And I'm like, "Hey, Coach, thanks for some of the things that you said about me. I really appreciate that." He said, "You know what, man? You are deserving of it. You're a heck of a player. You do remind me of a lot of what Joe and Steve could do on the football field. And this Saturday in this game, this East-West Shrine game, you're going to be the MVP." And I'm like, I was a little bit taken back by Bill saying that. I'm like, "Wow, Bill, hey, I appreciate that, man." So I walked away, and my dad was like, "Oh, what'd he say?" And I'm like, "Oh, he said I'm going to be the MVP this weekend." Well, I went out in that game on Saturday, and I played in the second and fourth quarter of that game. And in the fourth quarter, we're down 28-7. And I rallied the West team. I rallied the West team from a 28-7 deficit. I throw 3 touchdown passes and run for the 2-point conversion, all in the last 6.5 minutes of the game, to win the game 29-28.
Wow.
And got the vote because the vote was already cast for the MVP of the game prior to the game ending. Well, the media had to recast the vote, so it ended up being a co-MVP, co-offensive MVP of the game, and I was co-offensive MVP with another.
I hate that. Whenever I'm at a big game, they ask me to put my MVP vote in with like 10 minutes to go. It's like, are you guys kidding? They had us do it at the Super Bowl. And this is going to be bad memories for 49ers fans. We cast our MVP votes while the 49ers were ahead by 2 possessions. You can't do that. I mean, now with the internet, they didn't have the internet voting back then for the East-West Shrine game. But now they've got to do away with that practice because you can get the votes in quickly now, right? It's crazy.
I assume so. So who was your MVP? 10 minutes left and the Niners leading. It would have been
I was Garoppolo with 10 minutes left. He was almost perfect. He had like 2 incompletions. He was 19 of 21. He had led him on the drive to go, I think they're up 10, right? And then everything fell apart. I mean, if you look at his split for the first 3 quarters and the fourth quarter, he went something like, I think, 19 of 21, and then he was 2 for 11 the rest of the way. But the MVP voting happened.
Emmanuel Sanders on that post late in the game, then he's still the MVP. You know, it's just game of inches, unfortunately.
Yeah, game of inches. I mean, there were so many moments in that game where if the 49ers had either held defensively or made a play offensively, you win. But they had to make maybe 1 of 6, and they went 0 of 6, you know.
You're right. You're right.
That's just the way that it goes.
Bill was instrumental, man. And after that wild card game, he was in that locker room and he was beaming from ear to ear. And he just came up to me and he basically just expressed how proud of me he was. That, you know, for me, it wasn't just about proving to Bill that he made the right choice. It was really proving to everybody that Bill still knew what he was talking about, that Bill still had an eye for talent, and that he made the right decision in giving me a chance to be with the 49ers. And so, you know, I was just, you know, taken back by obviously his presence and what he meant to me and what it meant to my opportunity to play for the San Francisco 49ers, to return home, to play for the childhood team that I grew up watching, idolizing. Being a part of that team in that moment was definitely an all-time thrill for me.
Well, I mean, Gilroy kid, right? And you're in the Candlestick Park locker room after a historic playoff comeback victory over the New York Giants, a team that's obviously been a nemesis of the 49ers in the playoffs. It was before that game and it was after that game because they played in 2011. You lead this comeback and Bill Walsh himself comes up to you in the locker room. I think if that's not a fairy tale story, I don't know what is. You know, when you first told me that story a few years ago, I'm like, I am leading and closing this story with that anecdote right there, just because it's so cool. And, you know, so when you grew up as a fan of the 49ers, what are your memories of, you know, that dynastic rise? What are your memories of Walsh implanting that offense and Joe Montana and then Steve Young doing their things? I mean, to me, I was born in '88, so I remember the Steve Young years, and I remember you playing. I don't remember Montana as much, but to me, in retrospect, it seems there was just intense pressure for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl every single year because they built it up for themselves, right? They were so good that only perfection was really accepted by the community and the fan base due to their own standard.
Sure. I think that first Super Bowl, they really surprised a lot of people.
What's up, Nick? You come on in back in if you want for a second. I'll just pause it.
Need to invite me.
Yeah, I got you.
There you go. There you go.
What's up, man?
What's up?
Hold on a second. Sorry. What's on? Okay. What's on, man?
Yeah, all good, all good. It's it's 9:15 in the evening. Dog's going to go crazy in a minute, so I just need to jump in and say a couple of things.
Okay.
I love Jeff Garcia.
Okay.
Up until Jimmy Garoppolo came up, and forgetting Kaepernick, I thought Jeff Garcia was the best QB we'd had in a long, long time. He was a gunslinger. He didn't give a shit. He threw the ball. And I love Jeff Garcia, man. I do. I love him. But he's looking old, isn't he, right? With the white beard.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Man.
I'm getting there.
To us all, man. Yeah, I love Jeff Garcia, and I love the fact that he he didn't, obviously, he didn't play for Bill Walsh, but Bill Walsh was in the front office when he played. So, yeah, yeah, I love Garcia. I do love Jeff Garcia, and he does get shit on a lot by Niner fans because he was very hit and miss. But when he hit, that mother sucker hit big style.
Yeah, man. He was one of the quarterbacks that I grew up with watching the Niners when I was a kid. So definitely it was Joe Montana first, then it was Steve Young, of course, and then Jeff Garcia became another one. You know, it just
I think to me, and there is still a lot of debate, and I think it's because of younger fans. To me, Joe will always be the GOAT over Steve Young.
Oh, yeah.
But some people didn't see Joe live, and that's why they don't appreciate what he did because they only watch highlights. To me, Joe will always be the greatest. Even forget Tom Brady, Joe will always be the GOAT to me. And whilst Steve Young did a good job, and he was a, you know, he threw the monkey off his back and did the thing around Candlestick, but
yeah,
I don't think you'll find a better QB for the Niners than Joe. I just don't. And we can have this debate on Shank Club NFL in the off season because I'd like to get younger fans, older fans, people that saw everything, who their top, what do you reckon, top 4, top 5 QBs would be? What do you reckon?
For Jeff Garcia?
No. For I'm talking from
From the early 80s?
79 when I started following the Niners to the present day. Do you think we should do a top 5 Niners?
Yeah. I think we should, yeah.
And also, I was, you messaged me and said, "Oh, can I come on your show because you thought the Shank Club was over?" Trust me, the Shank Club isn't over. We're going to be doing movies, top players, everything.
I made it just for you.
You teed me up. Yeah, I'm just watching the Monday night football. The Monday night football game against the Rams.
Okay.
And I stopped it and I came in, and I just tweeted out before I came into your show that first drive where I don't know how many minutes it was massive, but we took the Rams' soul away, right? And I'm expecting more of that tomorrow night. Whoever's under center, doesn't matter. And I'm getting more and more pumped and excited as we get into the hours that are counting down the game. And I think the 49ers run game is going to be huge. I don't think Trey's going to run it. If Trey gets in, I don't think he's going to run it. I don't think he's going to be a decoy. They're not going to use him in that way. And I'm just thinking about what I'm watching now. And the Rams could not stop the 49ers run game. And that's huge. That's huge. It doesn't matter who's in there. In Mitchell, Jeff Wilson Jr., whoever's in there, we need to impose our will. And that's always, I think, been a Shanahan thing when he plays the Rams. Impose your will and make them submit kind of like a wrestling match. You do a few bits and pieces, blow up, but you impose your will. And I think that's what we're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah, I got you, man. Yeah, of course, I'm not gonna do my top 5 as I would say it right now, but I pretty much I got 4 of them down already, so in my mind. But just put it this way, Brian Hoare is definitely not one.
Don't diss the Hoyer. No, save it for the
I
off-season.
know.
Save
Brian
it for
Hoare
the
is not the one, so.
Have you?
Even my wife didn't like frigging him on the Patriots. So,
honestly, he was awful. Do you know what? I got when the Niners started doing the when Robert Albertino was the head of 49ers communications, and they started doing those training ground hits and stuff. And I was watching Brian Hoyer, and I was thinking, we're going somewhere. Hoyer's a veteran, he's savvy, he knows the system, and then he came out and stunk. Not gonna lie. I'm really interested in getting, obviously, your opinion, Dion, all the guys that come on, but I'm also interested as well with Carl and the other guys to see what they actually would say were their best. Now, obviously, with Carl, we know it's going to be TB12, and with Freddie, it's going to be Ben Roethlisberger, but that is purely based on the age group. To me, Terry Bradshaw all day long is a better QB than Ben Roethlisberger. I don't think there's any argument with that, but it'll be interesting, and we'll get into that. But yeah, I loved Jeff Garcia. I thought he was a great QB who was very underrated on the Niners with a limited cast. And bearing in mind, any QB, doesn't matter who it is, and you can see all the way through, everyone gets judged by Joe or Steve. Always. Doesn't matter who you are. They're always going to get judged. They're not Joe. They're not Steve. And that's a lot of pressure for anyone, right? Anybody.
yeah, I got you, man. Yeah, I got you, man. It's a lot of pressure, and Jeff Garcia is definitely one of them. Put it that way for me. So, am I gonna go like you said? Am I gonna break the silence? I mean, am I gonna be modest and say who my top 5 are? I'll wait. That's fine. It's all good. I got at least 4 down.
As I say to my little puppy that I'm training, wait. Because we need something to talk about in the off season, right? And we'll get you and all your boys on. It's very difficult.
I'm hoping we have all. Yeah, I'm hoping we have all.
Earlier, we need to obviously do a cross collaboration. But the thing is, even I don't know if you pay for StreamYard, but I pay for it. But you can only have 10 guests on. So.
Yeah. I pay for 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't pay the professional one, the $60 one. My wife would kill me for $60. She'll kill me for that.
So, can you have more than 10 if you pay 60?
No, I think it's only 10. You're allowed to have 10, but you get HD for the 60.
Yes,
you get full HD.
I like to be all like the Scooby Doo.
Because when I looked at the pricing of the plans, the first one was free, the second one was $25, and the next one was $60. That's a professional one. I just wanted 10.
I pay the mid tier.
Yeah, recording. I want all recordings. I want broadcasting for, I think it's 500 hours. Pretty sure that's what it was, 500 hours. And I didn't care about the HD. As long as it comes through good, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, well, with the greatest respect, when you're in your vehicle driving around, HD's no good for you, bro, because your internet blows.
I got you.
Yeah. Okay, let's sort of touch a little bit on tomorrow's game, and obviously you were on the show earlier and stuff, and hearing what Jeff was just saying there, I'm still swaying towards Jimmy G. I can't help it, purely based on what I'm seeing now. The eye test was the Monday Night Football game. As good as Trey is, and he was very, very good, he doesn't have that quick release, right? Not that we've seen so far.
Yeah, Jimmy G has that, so.
He's got that, and he shredded that defense. And I'm torn. I am torn, because the Niners have got to win. They've got to win. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. They've got to win. Doesn't matter what the Saints do.
I'm not gonna say my predictions probably till tonight. I'm sure I'll get everybody else's tonight because I know it's gonna be 3 of us probably. But I just want to at least win by 2 touchdowns. If we had 2 touchdown lead by at least 5 minutes left of the fourth quarter, I'd be happy, and we had the ball. I'm happy with that.
Well, I said it. I'll say it again. Bold prediction: 27-3 Niners.
27-3.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I know that. I'm a crazy.
I like that.
Brit.
No, I like it. I like it. That way we won't be nervous until we hit the fourth quarter. When we hit the fourth quarter, we can't be nervous unless our defense starts lagging up a little bit. But what I seen on Twitter, and I seen all the guys, especially Wagner. Yeah, I forget his first name was Wagner, the one reporter. He says everybody's questionable. There's none outs. No outs. Nobody's out.
That's the thing, though, right? The COVID thing does worry me.
Mm-hmm.
It really does worry me, because we've got a lot of players on the list. Yeah, they may clear it, but obviously COVID is a respiratory thing, right? So to be your lungs processing the air and all that jazz, you got to be fit. And yeah, they are. They're fit players, but that's the thing that worries me. This COVID stuff. Players today have been cleared to play and what have you, but are their lungs going to be at full capacity? Because that's what it is. It is a respiratory thing. And I'm a smoker, and my respiratory system is probably 20%. And if I got COVID, it'd probably go down to 3%. It wouldn't kill me, but it wouldn't be good. And I'm not, I know I'm built like a professional athlete, but I'm not.
Yeah, I got you that, man. I got you that. Yeah.
So that does worry me, the COVID stuff. Am I worried about the secondary? Yeah, I am. I mean, E-Man's coming back. I don't think he was COVID related before, was he? So that's a plus. But I still have us winning this game. It's the Rams. It's the same sorry-arsed Rams. And as I say, I'm watching. I don't know where I am up to. I think it's 14-7, second quarter, 13-10 left, and the Rams have just been flagged for an unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense. But Jimmy G and the Niners, hang on, not Jimmy G, sorry. The 49ers in that first drive took the Rams' will away. They took it away. And I don't give a shit who's under center tomorrow. I really don't. But we need to impose our will again. We need to. Just to let them know we ain't fucking with them. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Don't know how long you have with me, but my daughter is being a girl, put it that way. So
I can hear the destruction.
Yeah. So
Listen, I'm going to jump off anyway because it's getting late and I need to see the dog. But we'll do some stuff. Next Saturday, it is going to be wild card weekend, I believe. Niners are going to be in it. Trust me, Ryan. Trust me.
Right.
We're gonna dick the sorry ass lambs.
I hope so, man. Now, I love that score, 27-3. I do love that score.
And you know, I lit a cigar earlier, and that was my victory cigar. Come tomorrow, I will tweet you or DM you on WhatsApp and say, didn't want to say I told you so, but
I hope you do tell me so. I hope you did.
I told you so. I can't wait for the game. Of course I'm nervous. Of course. Who wouldn't be? Any Niner fan. Doesn't matter who plays QB. Doesn't matter of whatever. Any Niner fan is going to be nervous right now. And I'm like everyone in the Niner Empire. I can't wait to see the game. And I'm just looking forward to it, man. And I will catch you very, very soon. And if you do another show later on, I will watch it with you and your boys. Shank Club NFL. Brothers for life.
You too, man.
Peace.
Catch you later, Nick. Yeah, bud. Thank you, man. Thank you very much for jumping on. My boy Nick, my man Nick, man, brother Nick. Everyone you should know, he's the one that actually showed me how to do this in the beginning. And I just started clicking a little bit. So thanks, Nick. Thanks for climbing on. So I'll be definitely on next Saturday, like usual. But it might be from phone, but it's okay. Hope I'll be back in time to get on from the computer. All right. So guys, I'm gonna have Shane. That was Nick from Shank Club NFL. Go follow him on Twitter. Okay. He's a very cool guy. He's a great guy. So that's where you follow him at. All right. So back to our regular scheduled program, and I'm gonna go back into it again. And just give me 1 second, and I'll get you back into it. Okay. Just give me 1 second.
I don't think anybody thought that in, I think Joe's, third year of being in the NFL. I mean, he was still relatively young. You had a relatively young team. You had a very dynamic core of defensive backs, but we're all young and wet behind the ears. But they were amazing. And once they followed Bill's system, how he preached, how he coached, how everything was structured as to how you play offense, how you play defense, and everybody bought into that. I remember watching the catch against the Dallas Cowboys. I remember being at home, being on the edge of my seat, watching Joe Montana run sprint right option and Dwight Clark work the back of the end zone and make that catch. I remember watching that first Super Bowl out there at Stanford Stadium against the Dolphins.
Yeah, Marino.
Carl Monroe, who caught a touchdown pass in that game, who was from Overfelt High School in San Jose, played for my dad at Gavilan Junior College, and used to be my yard duty in elementary school during lunchtime. And he and the other football players that were our yard duties when we were 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, 5th and 6th grade, we'd play football at lunch. We'd grab onto these guys' belt loops, and they'd start running, and we'd have to, keep up. They would, lead us to the end zone. But I grew up watching my dad's football teams and seeing this guy, Carl Monroe, who was awesome in junior college, go on to college at the University of Utah, go on to play for the San Francisco 49ers, catch a little halfback corner in the end zone on his fingertips on the right sideline, and go down the sideline for a touchdown. We were going crazy because it was like wow, we know that guy. He was our friend. He was our yard duty. He was our player for my dad. So I followed that and followed Joe. And obviously then Jerry Rice came into the picture. But Ronnie Lott and Dwight Hicks and Eric Wright and Williamson and Keena Turner and Guy McIntyre and Sapolu and all these, Randy Cross, Dwight Clark, all these great Niners that I used to watch, and Taylor, John Taylor. I mean, the list goes on. So many great players that came through that team in the 80s and 90s, that to grow up in the Bay Area, how could you not be a fan? You were blessed to have such great football right there in your backyard. And to be honest with you, not everybody's going to like this, but I was just a fan of Bay Area sports. Being an hour south, 70 miles south of San Francisco, 70 miles south of Oakland. I mean, I grew up with Ken Stabler, Cliff Branch, Mark Van Egan, Dave Casper, Ted Hendricks, Matuzak, Lester Hayes, all those great Raiders from the 70s and 80s. I remember going to training camp accidentally. We're on a summer vacation, just traveling up Northern California. We stop at a hotel in Santa Rosa. It happens to be the Raiders training camp. Guys are walking around. I'm like 7, 8 years old. They're walking around the hotel, and I'm like, oh my God, the Raiders are here. These big, tall monsters. I'm like, this is awesome. We're here with the Raiders. But that being said, we were blessed with so much great football through the 70s, 80s, and 90s with, who knows what, probably 8 Super Bowls that were won, 3, I think, by the Raiders, 3 or 4 by the Raiders, and 5 by the Niners in that span of time.
It was a golden era. It was a golden era.
As kids growing up in the Bay Area, we were blessed to have greatness around us.
So then you have to be the guy that follows that up for the 49ers. You have Montana and Young, and we talk now about how crazy the scrutiny on the 49ers quarterback position is. It's obviously under the spotlight right now with both Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance on this team at the same time. The pressure cooker is as high as it's ever been because the 49ers are about to play a make-or-break game against their division rivals in Week 18. But you have personal experience being in that pressure cooker. I know it was before Twitter and all that social media, but what was it like from a standpoint of expectations? Were there people writing you letters? Would people see you in the store and have a comment? Because Steve Young has talked about how tough it was to follow Joe Montana. You had to follow both Steve Young and Joe Montana. What was that like?
Well, I think fortunately for me, I was 29 years old when I started that process. So I was a little bit more mature. I'd gone through a similar situation.
Sorry, people. I guess I was still on there, but it popped off on me. I understand what had just happened. I'm sorry. All right. Well, I'm going to do it again. I'm sorry about that.
The ginormous feat that was, so to speak, of trying to fill those shoes. And I think more than anything, what hurt me early on was the pressure that I put on myself to be that guy, to keep that lineage going, and almost sort of try to be like those guys, to play like them. And I had to first learn the game, relearn the game in ways, because I was coming from Canada to the NFL. I had to learn the system. I had to get confident in my own ability to be able to process and play within that system. And like I said, my first start was against the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, my first game experience really was a second half on Monday Night Football against Arizona after Steve went down. But my first start was at home against Tennessee, who was a good football team, who would go on to the Super Bowl that year and lose to the Rams. But I played lights out. I threw for 2 touchdowns. I ran for a touchdown. I passed for 60+% completion percentage. I think I had close to 300 total yards in the game. I'm like, this is easy, man. I could do this. And I was fired up.
Famous last words.
Slowly the wheels started to fall off, right? Struggles hit, and hey, D coordinators start watching film on you, and they start doing things that you haven't seen before, and they're surprising you, and they're changing up things at the line of scrimmage. And so I had to learn quickly. And, you know, I evolved during that season. After a low point, I was able to somewhat turn it around and play decent football. And then it led to a second year where I played lights out, went to the Pro Bowl in that second season, set a 49er record for passing yards. That still stands today. Threw for 30+ touchdowns and limited my mistakes with, 10 or 11 interceptions in that season. And we still didn't win a lot of games, but we were making progress. And then the third year is when we really turned the corner and went 12-4 and got into the playoffs, and the confidence really grew, and I felt comfortable and I felt good with the direction that we were going. And I think that it was unfortunate in the sense that the team was really headed in the right direction. We were a young team. Once again, I thought Mooch and the management and the coaching staff had rebuilt the team to where we had good players. We were solid. We were balanced on offense. We had a great running game. We had a good passing game. We had threats on the outside. And then there's the coaching change. They fire Mariucci after the 4th season, going into the second round of the playoffs. After that playoff win against the Giants, we lose to Tampa, who wins the Super Bowl that year, and then Mooch is gone. And the biggest struggle in the NFL is inconsistency. And we see it with teams throughout the league that continue to struggle year in and year out. In Cleveland, Detroit, Jacksonville, you see constant change in management, constant change in coaching staffs, constant change in the quarterback position. You just don't see teams that are competitive on a weekly basis. And we fell into that. And unfortunately, I only had one more season with the Niners before they released me. And then I was on to other locations. But those 5 years, especially 4 of those 5 years under Mariucci, man, we had grown. We had turned the table. We were competitive. We went into Green Bay in a wild card game at 12-4. We were on the field with the Rams. And the Rams were one of the best teams in the National Football League that year. In those years, with the greatest show on turf and Warner and all the guys that he had at his disposal. But we were on their heels. And we went into Green Bay and lost a nail-biter in 6-degree weather to Brett Favre and the Packers. We were right there in that game. And the next year we come back and we win the Giant game at home. And, man, I think if we were able to keep that team together, keep that coaching staff together, I think we were on our way to being like those 49er great teams of the past. We were competitive like those teams again. It was a play here, a play there that were the difference makers in games. It wasn't because, hey, we were so bad in the first half, we were out of it by halftime. We were in every football game. And it's a shame that it came to an end, because I think we had what it took to get to that level and to be that team had all the pieces stayed in place.
Yeah, you guys had that swagger, that personality. I remember Jeremy Newberry, one of your offensive linemen. He's been so fun to talk to about some of these former teams. One of those guys that had everybody's back, right? And you have to have that collection of personalities on the team. And it's almost like a forgotten era a little bit in 49ers history, because everybody always talks about the Super Bowl team. But that's why I wanted to really highlight what you guys were able to do in the playoffs against the Giants that year, because a random collection of guys is not able to come down from 24 points and win a game. There had to be something there, right? Then unfortunately, I think you guys ran into a buzzsaw in the next week that featured the current GM, right? John Lynch was still in Tampa that year.
Yeah.
So talk about that coming full circle. But I agree with you. I thought that the franchise was headed in a good direction. I was watching as a kid. I was 14, 15 years old at the time. And then it all kind of crumbled. All the star players went off elsewhere. And there were a lot of dark years up until 2011, right? When the 49ers played the Giants in the playoffs again. So,
right.
One other parallel, though, that I just thought about, you come to the 49ers in 99. Obviously, you're not expecting to start, but you end up starting because Steve Young gets hurt. What was your relationship like with Steve Young? Because we see it right now with Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. They're very complimentary of each other. Trey says that he's learned a lot from Jimmy. How much of a resource was Steve for you early in your 49ers tenure there to get off on the right track and eventually do the great things that you did?
Steve and I have a good relationship, and I think it evolved more so after that season. And the unfortunate part of that whole year was what Steve was going through. He had a lot of critical decisions that he had to make for his future. Obviously, all the testing that he probably was going through as to where his brain function was due to the concussions that he had sustained. So there was a lot of time away from the facility that he was spending taking care of his own business. And so because of that, we didn't really have him in the meeting rooms. We didn't have him on the field with us during practice as much as maybe I would have liked for my own growth as a quarterback, to really be able to tap into his mentality, to tap into his understanding, how he processed the game, the decisions that he would make in certain situations during a game, how he would just play the game. And I only had really 3 games to watch him do that. I had a training camp to be able to watch and learn from him. And that was a blessing. Believe me, it was a blessing to be able to be a teammate of his, to be able to watch him and see what he was capable of doing, even at that age and that experience of what he had in the game. And he probably had another 2-3 years left in him had he not suffered what would be the game-ending concussion, had he not had an issue with the head trauma. And from a standpoint of just being able to be there for a young quarterback group, because of the circumstances, it just didn't happen. It didn't really evolve that way. He was able to come back toward the end of the season, be more involved. I think once he had an understanding of where he was, what was going on in his life, what the future or what the direction was with him in football. And I'm sure it was difficult. I'm sure it was a difficult pill to swallow. It wasn't how he wanted to leave the game. But he did come around. He did come back around. He was traveling with us to games on the road. He was on the sideline trying to be an aid to us because we had a young quarterback group. And, we were all local college quarterbacks. And imagine that the Spartan was starting over the Cardinal and the Cowbear quarterback. That
was the Bay Area room, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Bay Area room, man. We had Stenstrom from Stanford.
Yep.
We had Pat Barnes from Cal Berkeley. Those were our three quarterbacks. Talk about local talent coming in to play for the pro team, right? But the Spartan was at the top.
Spartan up, baby.
Man.
I just now realized that looking back on it, because I wasn't involved. Obviously, I was too young. I ended up going to college. I went to Stanford. So unfortunately, that game doesn't happen every year anymore. And that was one of my favorites. I mean, you talked about that's how you got connected to Bill Walsh in the first place, right? Almost beating Stanford, and Bill Walsh, the coach there at the time, being so complimentary of you. So there's a great tradition of Stanford against San Jose State that unfortunately we don't see because I think it's a money issue. I think that neither team is scheduling each other because of college football politics, which is just too bad because you hear that awesome story of you and Bill Walsh. But that's also a cool story, with Steve Young. I mean, I've talked to Mike Shanahan about this, and Mike told me you have to go ask Steve, how close was he to coming and playing for me in Denver? And I guess it was pretty close if you talk to both of them, because Elway was retiring at the time. That was Elway's last season, I believe, was 99, right? The Broncos won that Super Bowl.
I believe so.
Yeah. So Shanahan needed a new QB to succeed Elway. So he wanted to go back to Steve Young, who he coached with the 49ers back in 94. And Steve decided that it was time to move on. He said he was medically cleared, but and he doesn't regret the decision. He wanted to start his family and kind of move on to the next chapter of his life. And, I'm sure, from you've played in this game, you played quarterback. I'm sure that there's some severe hits out there, right? It's probably hard to get up after some of those hits, especially back when you played, because you guys weren't nearly as protected as the quarterbacks are now.
Yeah, I mean, as you see, I think my nose it's pretty crooked. I've broken that a couple times out there on the field, but no, protecting the QB like there is today. And it's not to say that they just still don't get hit viciously. They still do. But guys are penalized now more often than not when they deliver certain blows. But back in the day, man, it was a pride thing for me. I had to get up unless something was broken or I just physically could not rise again. I was going to bounce up, and I was not a guy who slid either. I was a guy who always dove head first, trying to get the extra yard. I would dive at guys' legs, or I'd dive between them. I would not slide. And that was just me and my mentality. It kills me. It kills me today when I see a quarterback slide a yard before the first down. It kills me when he does that. And I know, hey, guys are protecting themselves, but sometimes they end up getting a blow that's a lot harder and rougher when they slide too late, and it ends up being a problem. That being said, playing today, it's still such a physical game. You're never going to take the violence out of the game. It is what it is. I know that Roger Goodell, I know that the rules committee tries to create a safer environment. It's just difficult to do when the object of the game is to jar that ball loose from the guy who's holding on to it. And in order to do that, you need to deliver a blow with your all-out physicality and mentality. And so that being said, that's what kind of makes it the most exciting game or sport played in the world because of that. And I was blessed to play it for a long time, and I was blessed to be able to walk away fairly healthy mentally and physically. And I try to stay active today just to make sure that all those old little injuries don't creep up on me.
Stave them away, stiff arm, all that old soreness coming up on you. No, I love it. And, I think the fans really fell in love with your style of play. I still remember my kind of favorite stylistic play of yours. You did it a lot. Was that kind of like little jump throw? You would have and I think it was always when you're moving away from pressure, and quarterbacks, I think fans, especially back then, before we got all these mobile quarterbacks now, fans were so used to these rigid quarterbacks. And I know it was different with Steve Young, obviously, but around the league, you had a lot of rigid quarterbacks, 5-step drop, mechanical throw. But you had this, it was like another tool that you had in the toolbox where you're able to run and kind of just pull up. And you know what I'm talking about? That little jump throw that you had? I'm wondering where you developed that. I've always wondered throughout all these years, and I've never seen you talk about it in an interview.
Well, it's funny because I remember in a show called Beyond the Glory which
Uh-huh.
you can watch on YouTube. And it's 5 segments of my football life, basically. But it's really with the 49ers. And Bill Walsh talks in that. He's interviewed. Steve Mariucci is interviewed. But they show some college highlights. And there's a play where I scramble and there's a defenders coming my way. And I jump up above them and I throw a crossing pass about 10, 12 yards down the field. Right on point, right? But it was something that I think just was created out of necessity. If I wasn't going to be able to outrun the guy to the sideline and get around him, but yet I still saw receivers who were working to get open, I had to create a throwing lane. And the only way I could create that was by jumping up and exposing myself, but yet putting me above the defender to create the passing lane.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was just something that became instinctive for me. Yeah, it put me in a very compromised position to where I could get my lights knocked out of me, and probably why I got hit under the chin so many times and have split my chin literally 15 plus times playing the game of football was probably because I opened myself up like that and caught a helmet under the chin multiple times. But I did whatever it took to get a completion. And if it meant jumping, if it meant sidearm, if it meant flicking it like an option pass or a no-look pass, I was going to do it.
That's awesome. Well, I have to finish this by bringing it back to the present day, because we talk about these high physicality games. You're talking about getting your head busted in with the jump throw. And it just reminds me that George Kittle just said a couple hours ago when we asked him about this game, he said he thought it was going to be a body bag game against the Rams. So let's fast forward back to Sunday. You're going to be at the game. This is a division matchup. A lot's going to be on the line. The Rams are going for a division title. The 49ers are fighting for a playoff spot. You couldn't ask for more to be at stake, right? The 49ers, when I hear body bag game and I hear you talking about all this physicality back in the 90s and the 2000s in the NFL, that gets me fired up, and it makes me think that the 49ers are happy to have guys like Kittle, like Deebo Samuel on their team, guys who like administering contact and knocking guys' mouth guards out. I don't want to answer this question for you, but I want to hear what you think is going to happen on Sunday. And I'm just offering my opinion. I think that the 49ers, because they have these guys that like to administer punishment, I believe that's very correlated to their recent success against the Rams. They've won 5 straight against the Rams. Do you agree with me? And what do you think is going to happen this Sunday when the 49ers head into SoFi?
I agree with you. I think the 49ers have definitely played more physical against the Rams, have been the more physical team on the field when facing the Rams. They've done a great job against the big guy up front, Aaron Donald. I mean, they did a great job against Aaron last season in really controlling him at the line of scrimmage, which is so difficult to do. That's going to be a key. Hey, controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Hey, we have to get the run game going. We have to be able to run the football and expose this defense in a way that allows us to now get creative in our play action and our movement passing game. Yes, the physicality of Deebo and of Kittle is so important. The yards after catch out of those guys, how they lower and dip the shoulder on people and run through people, creates an energy and emotion and excitement. And the other thing is that they're playing against a quarterback, Stafford, that isn't really playing his best football toward the end of this season. He's made mistakes. He's compromised himself out there on the field. They've been able to overcome it to an extent, but he hasn't played that great. And so hopefully they can get pressure on Stafford. They can force some of those mistakes, get opportunities where it creates an advantage, whether it's a field position opportunity or a defensive touchdown. It's going to be needed. I'm optimistic. I think that the 49ers have so much more to play for. We know the 49ers have so much more to play for in this game. It means more to them to go into this game and win this football game. And because of that emotional edge and the physicality, I'm looking for the win to be for the Niners and to be entering the playoffs in the following week.
Is this your first time at SoFi on Sunday?
It is, yes.
It is awesome. I was there for the Rams game last year, and I had the very unique experience of sitting in the stands alone because there's no fans.
Right.
And I just like looked around, and it was just like, oh my God, what is this going to look like when it's full of fans? And then I went back for the preseason because the 49ers played the Chargers, and I kid you not, 85% 49ers fans. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that many on Sunday, but I think it's going to be over 50 because it has been at the Coliseum.
Right.
So,
you know, I have an old man football game in the morning. I had to move it to 8 a.m. so I could get on and get to SoFi and make sure my little girl, she's a 49er fan. She's the one that, supports her daddy. So this was her birthday gift. I told her I would take her to a Niner game because she's been begging me all season long. Dad, I want to go to a Niners game. So I'm like, all right, we're going. We're going to go see them against the Rams. And it's going to be exciting to be at a game that has this sort of meaning to it, this sort of importance to it, and the rivalry between the two teams, the energy, the excitement in that stadium is going to be awesome.
That's awesome. And you're going to be wearing your own jersey? You wear a jersey to a game? I don't know how it works for an ex-player.
Yeah, it's tough for me to really throw on. I'll have a hat or something. My daughter she goes this morning because my boys go, I wonder what jersey should I wear? Because they have Kittle, they have Bosa, they have some of the other guys, the current players. And my daughter goes, I'm wearing the old man's jersey.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Who's the old man? And she's like, you, Daddy, I'm wearing the old man's jersey.
That's too good. But hey, that's got to get you fired up. And, thanks so much for your time. It's awesome to catch up and reminisce. I think I might have last seen you in person at the Super Bowl, which is crazy. Seems like a decade ago. So Thank you, Jeff. And maybe we'll see you on Sunday.
Sounds good, man. You got it. Take care, David.
Wow. What an interview. What an interview. Jeff Garcia. Yeah, I'm not gonna give my top five because Nick said he would do a show for the top five quarterbacks. So I'm not gonna give mine until later on. So I'm sure everybody's doing breaking news right now on their respective streamers. And I want to throw mine now since we're on here now. Okay. So I'm going to go my thing real quick so I can do it the right way without messing anything up. So here you go. The Niners' latest news and rumors. And it just popped out about maybe just under an hour ago. About half hour ago, I should say. Everybody's been throwing it out there. Everybody has. 49ers have activated Jimmy Ward, Shark, of course, everybody known as Shark, Cleon Williams, and Dante Johnson from the reserve COVID list, COVID-19 list. And the team has officially activated Emmanuel Mosley from off of IR. That means we got the secondary back, baby. Our secondary is back. Yeah, I'm sure we got Ambry Thomas off COVID list. He's back. He's back off now. He's activated too. So we have all of our secondary back in the red and gold. I don't know if we'll be wearing red gold tomorrow or we'll be wearing whites, but it's gonna be a wonderful thing. It is. I know. I forget the other guy on the other side. His name is. I can't forget his name. I can't remember his name off of my head, guys. There's so many guys remember, but I'm not too sure if he's going to be playing or not, or he's activated or anything. I just can't remember his name. So that's the latest breaking news so far that I have on here. I wanted to share with you guys since everybody else probably doing breaking news on their channels, and just let you know from always faithful 24/7 news. So I figured I'd let you know that. That way everything's good. Now, since that's done, I'm going to continue on the pressers, and that'll be it for tonight until later on when I bring my brothers inside of Old Faithful 24/7. Just hold on, guys.
All right, we have Tesla here.
All right, we have Debo here for you guys.
The big weather is a little different. Be hot, then it be cold. The big weather. Be hot, then it's cold. Then who knows? No questions for Debo? Okay.
Debo, how's the first week of fatherhood been? And with everything that's happened with COVID, Raheem Mostert's son, what kind of things, how does that make you feel when you hear about that situation?
It's actually my first time hearing about his kid with COVID. You know what I'm saying? All wishes and stuff to him to hope the babies get better. But with me having a son, with all this going on, I, you know what I'm saying, try to keep him in the house as much as possible. Even though her parents work, but not having them out at all, or you know what I'm saying, if she needs something at the crib, or I'll have, you know what I'm saying, a driver or something, go to the store and pick it up and just leave it at the porch just to keep him safe.
Hey, Debo, I know you've had some back and forth with Aaron Donald. I don't know if that's friendly or not. Have you actually ever met Aaron Donald or talked to him?
No, I haven't.
Would you like to?
I'm not pressed for a conversation.
Debo, Steve White, right here. To follow that up, I guess, why aren't you pressed for a conversation? That wasn't my question, but it said, why aren't you pressed for a conversation with Aaron?
I don't know. I don't know the guy. Obviously, he don't know who I am, which he should, but I don't know. I mean, I just don't walk up to people and be like, hey, how you doing? I'm Debo, or nothing like that. I'm not that type of guy or whatever, but he's an opponent. So, I mean, I don't know why would I want to have a conversation with a guy like, you know, just not something I do.
I got you. Well, on that note, I mean, last game, you know, you faced him. Of course, you had that big game in a lot of different ways. Have you noticed anything different in watching film in the past couple of weeks, or do you think there's still a lot of things you might be able to exploit, especially the way you moved around in the backfield and in the pistol and out wide as well?
From the past couple of games, even after we played, they haven't changed. So, I mean, they're not doing nothing different on defense end. I don't know what they're doing on the offensive end, but from a defensive standpoint, they haven't changed. So we know we got to go out there and do, and to keep our hopes up of making the playoffs.
Debo, you guys have obviously had a lot of success against the Rams, and Sunday being such an important game. Do you have to walk that fine line of confidence and overconfidence?
Nah, I just think personally, you just know what's at stake, and Cal know what it takes to, you know what I'm saying, to push us to get the win. I wouldn't say it's over the confidence. I just know that everybody got to go out here and do their job the best way possible, and able for us to make the playoffs.
Debo, Jimmy's been back after his thumb injury through a couple practices now. How have his throws been towards you? How does he seem, velocity on the ball, etc.?
Jimmy just looked like Jimmy to me. Same confidence, same throw, same ball, same energy, same everything. I don't think he took a step backwards. I just think, you know what I'm saying, he's just gonna do best way possible. It don't look like to me that his thumb hurt, and he's out there doing a good job this week.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Debo. Oh. All right, we have Elijah here for you.
Hey, Elijah, the last time you guys faced the Rams, 44 carries, the yards per carry 3.5. What do you think you can do that same formula with just the number, with the volume of runs, or do you think that there are opportunities out there for you guys to get more chunk plays?
Definitely have room for chunk plays and stuff. But like I say, we gonna also run the ball, but we just got to do a good job of converting on third downs, and we should be able to run the ball.
Hey, Elijah, Kyle said that your maybe only sign of rust Sunday was your first carry. He said you missed it. Should you have cut to your, if you remember the play, should you have cut to your left instead of going right?
Repeat that one more time for me.
Or Kyle said you had a sign of rust was your first carry on Sunday. He said you missed that carry or you missed the run. Were you supposed to go to your left? Was there a hole there?
Yeah, definitely was supposed to cut inside on that. Like I said, I was very rusty, so I had to get that out. But after that, it was all good. But yeah, definitely, I had to cut to the left.
Elijah, you've played through a number of injuries this season. Now Jimmy Garoppolo is battling through his thumb injury. Is that just something that you guys have as an attitude in the locker room?
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, Jimmy's a freak, so he just had that mentality that he could play through anything, and that's what you got to have. Like I say, we football players, you go through injuries, so you just got to learn how to play with them sometimes.
And how has he seemed over the last couple of days? It's the third day that he's thrown since his injury. You are a pass catcher from him. How has he looked and felt? How has his passes felt when you've been catching them?
Jimmy been looking real good, so we just got to get him to Sunday, and it will be all good.
Kyle said that they thought you were going to be listed with a knee injury this week, which is all we know about. But obviously, you've had other injuries this season. Are some of those other injuries? I mean, do you still feel them, or are you kind of at a point where maybe you're only dealing with the knee?
No, I'm good. I'm just dealing with the knee right now, but other than that, I'm all good.
Hey, Elijah, when you came to the 49ers, was there a part of you that thought that maybe your best fit as a rookie would be as a third down back with how you were able to catch the ball out of the backfield, and what did it mean for you to finally get into the end zone? I shouldn't say finally, but for you to get into the end zone as a pass catcher last week.
Yeah, it was an awesome feeling. My first reception as a running back and touchdown. But yeah, when I first came in, I was running routes and stuff, running choice routes, all kind of routes really. And yeah, that's what I thought I was gonna be, a third down back. But like I say, I ended up being the first and second down back.
Hey, Elijah, obviously you've been able to put together a good season, set a rookie rushing record for the franchise. I'm wondering, how much have you maybe missed out on the fact that you haven't been able to be on the field? Like, how much growth do you think you still have in you when you get an opportunity to really string some games together?
Yeah, definitely have growth. Like I say, it sucks. Missed multiple games. I feel like I could have did more, and I think about that all the time, but you can't stay in the past. And I just got to continue to do what I need to do this on this run we're about to make.
Last one.
Hey, Elijah, I realize he plays on the other side, but I'm just curious what you may have, either from talking to him or just watching him, what you picked up on as far as being a professional or whatever the case may be from Fred Warner.
You say Fred Warner?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, like I say, Fred do everything right. Take care of his body. Like I say, film everything. Fred is a person that you want to ask questions. I'm always talking to Fred about certain things, just picking his brain. So Fred Warner is definitely a guy you want to learn from.
Thank you, Elijah. We have George here for you.
Hi. Howdy. Next. All right. See you guys. Oh, well, hello. It's Tracy. Hi.
George, you were out there at practice today, giving Jimmy a bunch of compliments when he was throwing the ball. He seems normal, same power on the ball, same velocity.
Yeah, I mean, I think compared to last week, I think he looks better. I don't know what it feels like. I know chip bones don't feel great, and I will just let Jimmy's quote speak for itself. I know it hurts. So whatever he's doing out there, I think he's doing a really good job so far, and we'll see what happens these next couple of days.
George, as you head into this game, and obviously it's an important one, do you talk to the younger guys at all about keeping your preparation consistent and the same and not varying too much from that?
I thought both Coach Shanahan and then players throughout the week in practice have done a good job of just is it a huge game? Obviously, we need to win to get into the playoffs. But you got to, like you said, you got to stay consistent. You got to do what you've been doing. The things that have been making you successful, you got to continue to do those. Don't take shortcuts. This is not really the week to do that. If anything, if you want to do a little bit extra, by all means go for it, but don't do, too much that's going to wear you out or, mess you up for the game. But, just stay consistent with what you've been doing, or even ask a vet, what they've gone through. But I think our team's pretty close and guys watch. And I think most of our young guys, I think are like sponges, and they've just kind of been absorbing the information throughout the year from all the vets. And I think we've got a good group of young guys that can step up.
George, kind of following up on that, you mentioned maybe young guys asking vets for advice or whatever, if need be. How much do you, as someone who has played in a lot of big games, and particularly in 2019, how much do you draw on that when you go into games like this with these kind of stakes?
How much do I draw in 2019?
Well, just big games that you played in the past, but obviously there was a lot that year that you did, including a final week of the season one that year.
I mean, it's football. Is there more pressure? Obviously. But I feel like this team, we've been playing playoff games or kind of been playing for our season since the Vikings week. And, the only difference now is there's no guarantee that, we have a chance to save the season again after this week. So, yes, is there more pressure, but it's still football. And I think our team's done a really good job so far this week, past weeks of, coming together, working hard and, just executing. And I think that's all we got to do this week. Just go out and play our football and, not turn the ball over and get some turnovers. And I think we'll be just fine.
Jimmy kept his injury from everybody, was very quiet about it in Tennessee. What has he been like this week? Is he still just not ignoring the fact that he has the injury amongst y'all, or is he kind of talked about it a little bit?
Didn't you talk to him yesterday?
I want to know your perspective. What happens in practice on the field?
My perspective is that Jimmy is throwing the football to me and I get to catch it from him. I can't really tell a difference. Like I said, I think he looks better than he did last week. But again, I don't know what it's like to play with chip bones in my thumb while trying to throw a football. So I think Jimmy's a tough guy, like I said last week. And I fully believe that, if he's going to be able to play, he'll do everything he can to do it.
Hey, George, yesterday Fred Warner talked about he felt the burden of his contract earlier in the season. And, not terms he used, but he was just kind of stressed out. And he finally got over that, and he thinks he's playing his best right now. Can you, I don't know, from the day-to-day who he is, can you tell, a difference in him, just the way, I don't know, he's carrying himself from early in the season to now, or is it maybe a little more subtle than that?
I think it's a lot more subtle than that. I think Fred does a great job of being himself every single day. You got to see he's a guy who's sprinting around the beginning of practice, screaming, setting the tone, bringing the energy every single day. I don't think anything ever changed. I know that it's a very difficult thing. It's not really fun to go through that. It's kind of like braces. The entire duration of it's pretty awful. And then as soon as you get done with it, it's kind of over. But it definitely lingers for a little bit because it's you're in arguments, or not argument, but you're in conversation about your worth to a team. And so it's, kind of tough sometimes when you figure out what, your worth might be. But I think Fred got a great contract, and I think he was very happy with it. And I think his play has, I always think Fred plays well. I always do. Because I watch a lot of linebackers across the league, and Fred's still one of the guys that I'm glad he's on my football team. I don't have to play against him. So whether there's games that he might not have a bunch of tackles or turnovers, stuff like that, I just watch how he impacts every single player that's on that defensive side, plus special teams, plus our offensive guys. When Fred's out there, and Fred's very good at breaking the team down, he just brings this energy that you want to match. And so whether he has 15 tackles or 5 tackles, he's influencing our football team in a positive manner, and he has been this entire season.
Yeah, no disrespect to Kittle or Bosa, but I'm pressing on my time a little bit. I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna try to find Jimmy. I'm gonna find Trey. Hope they did a presser. If they didn't, I'll do Kyle's. Hopefully updated whatever about the injuries, whatnot, and I'll go from there. Okay, guys. So bear with me. I'll be right there. Bear with me. Let me see here. We've got, here's Trey. All right. Not too sure if, yeah, here's Trey. Yeah, here's Trey. I'm going to play Trey's, and let's see here. Here we go.
Like for you in terms of how reps were divvied up maybe compared to last week when you were getting all the reps, and how did you get through it?
Yeah, obviously I didn't get them all. Jimmy's back, limited this week, so it was good for me, obviously, to still be able to get some reps at the same time, and work through it with Jimmy. It was unique a little bit with us being able to talk through reps, that we both get. But yeah, it was. I think Kyle did a great job for me personally, just being able to prepare still this week and still being able to get some reps, not knowing obviously what's going to happen with Jimmy on Sunday.
Trey, Kyle said that your week was better than last week. So what ways did you see progress with yourself out there on the practice field?
I just think throughout the season, every single rep that I get better. I think I learned so much from every rep, whether it's practice or a game. And like I said, being able to have Jimmy out there and being able to be limited, throwing some this week, I think helped me a lot also.
How do you feel your preparation has changed over the last couple of weeks as you prepare to take more and more reps and potentially play on Sunday?
Honestly, the only thing that's changed is just me getting reps in practice. For me, I prepare. Obviously, it's my job, it's my role to prepare and be as ready as I possibly can every single week. So for me, mentally and from a preparation standpoint, it really hasn't changed.
Trey, when you had a chance to go back and watch what you did last Sunday, what were some of your takeaways? What did you like? Maybe what did you not like from that game?
I think really kind of what I said after the game held true. Some good, some bad, but definitely learned a lot, from every single rep.
Trey, what are some of the tips that you've been given about the avoiding the Rams defensive front of Aaron Donald and others?
Obviously it's some guys on that D line that are going to make their plays. But for me, obviously protecting the football is number one.
We talked to George and to Debo yesterday, and both of them said that they couldn't see any differences in Garoppolo's passes. Obviously, he didn't take all the passes, but from what you saw, would you be able to tell that he is dealing with a thumb injury?
He has a wrap on his hand. I'm sure you guys saw. But I know that, soreness and things like that. Obviously, I've never had the injury, but I know that, how tough Jimmy is. I know that it hurts when he throws and things like that. So I know he's going to do everything he can to play on Sunday. And I know he's a tough freaking dude. So whatever he can do, he will.
Trey, I don't know how many how much nerves you've had in your previous starts or anything like that, but when you have a game kind of this magnitude with these kind of stakes, just where's your mind right now as you look forward to potentially playing in it?
The stakes were the same last week in my head, and honestly in Arizona. Like it's really not like I try any harder or prepare
harder or better just because, this could be it. It's win or go home, but it really was the same exact stakes last week. So nothing really changes.
Trey, because you're in this unique situation now of having split the reps this week with Jimmy, do you feel that if you go back to your number 2 job against the Rams, that you'll be in a better position to maybe serve as a resource for him and have some nice conversations between series?
Yeah, I'm sure the reps will help. But for me, like I said, really preparation from that standpoint, nothing really changes. I see the same pictures that Jimmy does. We're in the same meetings. Obviously, we're good friends, so we talk a lot. So from that standpoint, on the sidelines from game to game, it's kind of just us sharing what we see, and obviously Rich on the sideline, and Nate are huge helps also.
Trey, Kyle was asked yesterday or a couple days ago about how supportive George Kittle has been and how he tries to avoid his hits after a good play. Have you tried to avoid him? And then also, how much has it been a help for you having his support?
Yeah, George is a high energy dude. As everyone knows, he's been a big bro to me for sure. One of my big bros since the first day I stepped in this locker room. So I'm super thankful for him, the energy he brings. And yeah, after big plays and things like that, I know a lot of people should probably watch out for George because I don't know if he necessarily can turn it down in his brain.
Trey, do you have a pregame routine, whether you eat the same thing every week, you listen to a playlist? Do you have any kinds of pregame routines like that?
No, not really. I'm not very superstitious or anything like that, but I try to do what I can to feel comfortable and ready to go.
We'll do these last 2.
What unique challenges does the Rams defense present in terms of both scheme and personnel?
From a personnel standpoint, obviously they have a lot of guys that can take over the game, can change the game. Like I said, I think the biggest thing for us offensively is just taking care of the ball. As long as we don't have turnovers offensively, trust that our defense is going to get stops and get takeaways. I think that's really all we need to worry about.
Trey, I asked Kyle basically the same thing, but when you're playing Madden, you visualize route trees and stuff like that, but before the snap, what's your process, I guess, of just visualizing plays and coverages? Do you have something that you go through, before games overnight or, right before each play where you sort of see the play out in your head?
I mean, yeah, I'd say probably every rep you take, every time you picture a play, every time you read the play in the huddle, obviously you got to visualize it. If I don't know what my guys are doing, then it's going to be really, really tough to, obviously run across against a defense.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Mo Hurst will be questionable. Greenlaw questionable. Aziz questionable. Garoppolo questionable. Tart questionable. Marcel Harris questionable. And Trent Williams questionable. Go ahead.
Boy, hearing all that questionables. That sounds so sweet. It does. Here on all of them. I know I won't be going through the whole interview with him, but I just wanted to make sure what they were. So I'll go through a couple minutes and that's it. Okay, guys? All right.
As far as Jimmy, we saw him throw early in practices, and hard for us to see any difference with him. Did he have any setbacks from Tuesday to Friday, and what was your observation of watching him throw?
He had a good week. Yeah, good week of practice, and when he was in there, and feel good with where he's at right now.
And what was Trent Williams able to do today? Did he practice at all? And
no, Trent didn't practice. No, he's still rehabbing his elbow, trying to get ready for the game. So hopefully he'll be out there.
As far as the guys that were on the COVID list, is Ambry Thomas the only one who was activated as of right now?
Yeah, Ambry was activated. He was out there today, and the rest of the guys have a chance tomorrow.
Kyle, how did Emmanuel Mosley get through the week and look to you this week?
I thought he had a good week. You know, we really only go full speed on Thursday, which guys like him, Greenlaw, you know, these guys who haven't had a chance to do it for a little bit, you'd like to go full speed for them all 3 days. But, you know, with where the team's at, you can't do that. So I was excited about on Thursday. He had a good walkthrough today. So I feel good about him being ready this week.
Kyle, if you're feeling good about where Jimmy is right now, would you want to take the leap and say he might be starting?
Nope.
Okay.
And Kyle, how did Dre Greenlaw make it through the week?
Dre had a good week. You know, he's tried to get through a number of these weeks and hasn't gotten this close yet. So the fact that he's questionable today makes me feel he's had the most successful week, and hopefully he'll be good enough to go on Sunday just talking to him. But have some optimism with how the week's gone.
Hey, Kyle, what was Jimmy's mindset and just his demeanor all week of playing through the pain, and how did Trey Lance look during the week?
I mean, Trey had a good week. Thought he was a little bit better this week than last week, so he keeps improving. And you know, I think everything with Jimmy was just trying to feel what he was comfortable with, what he could push, what he couldn't push, and push through, and just trying to figure out all the parts of the game that do go down on Sunday that you try to do your best to simulate it this week.
Are there throws that you want? I guess you didn't ask Jimmy to make this week because I don't know that they could potentially hurt his thumb, and you'll just maybe wait until I guess it would be game day to see if he's capable of making those.
No, I know what we're doing. I just don't feel like telling you right now.
Thank
you.
you.
Is that what your question is?
No, my question is, I mean, are there throws that might be, I don't know, deep throws that might be, you know, hard on his thumb that could either irritate his thumb, that you say, hey, we're not going to have you do that in practice, and maybe we'll just see if you can, you know, and warm up Sunday, you know, see if we can let those fly.
Yeah, possibly. I wish I had a mask on too, so I could hide my facial expressions.
Hey, Coach, I guess I'll ask that then. Given Jimmy's week and the fact you said he's looked good, have you already made your decision on who's starting Sunday, or will you hold it over and then really decide Sunday morning?
No, I'm not deciding Sunday morning. We don't have any practice left. I know where Jimmy's at today. I know where Trey's at. I know where our team's at, and I feel pretty good about where we're at. So I'm excited to get to Sunday. Really glad I have no press conferences after today. So once I survive this, I'm done talking about it. So I think we'll be good after that. But I think you guys understand why you don't announce it. And but regardless, you know, especially with Trey playing last week, we got two guys here with some experience that our team feels good with, and we'll see how it plays out.
Who steps in if Trent can't go, and how would you feel about going that way?
I mean, you always want best tackle in the league out there. So you don't feel as good if he can't go out there. But Jalen Moore's got some opportunities this year. He's played some good football. And we also have Colton McKivitz, who hasn't got a chance this year. But, you know, last year he got to start at guard versus the Rams, and he'd be an option also.
Kyle, do you relish keeping it vague more because it's Sean McVay?
No. That's more has to do with their defense. Just making Raheem a little more uncomfortable. Not that Raheem ever gets uncomfortable, but just not worth saying. Just no really point in it, except to avoid more of these press conferences, which this is my last one, so I feel I can tough this one out.
I think you mentioned Aziz as someone who's questionable for Sunday. Is he a little further along than maybe you expected him to be right now?
I mean, Aziz does everything he can week in and week out to try to get to Sunday. I mean, you guys have seen him with his elbow braces he's been working on throughout this year. So we knew it would be tough to get to this Sunday. It's still tough. But I mean, he's about where we expected, having a chance to play, but by no means when we say he's questionable, he really is questionable. I'll be very impressed if he can get there, but he's shown that he has a chance to get there.
This might be a weird question, but in Madden, like when you're looking at a play, you'll click the thing and you'll flash how the routes look before the play to, remember where all the receivers are going. Is there a way to sort of teach quarterbacks how to visualize plays? I don't know if that's a stupid question, but is there a way you teach that, or is it just each individual guy sort of?
No, yeah, you do it over and over and over again. I believe you're not great at anything till you put 10,000 hours into it, and that's why OTAs aren't enough. Training camp's not enough. It's what you do away from people. It's what you do when you're with us. It's what you do every single day. You got no chance in this league as a quarterback if you're not working that type of way, because it's not just visualizing all the plays and the way you can mix 5 eligibles. It's also the protections. It's the coverages. It's the fronts, the blitzes, the situations, all the techniques on handoffs, and all you got to do that with the snap counts and all the motions. So it's a job that not many people in this world can do. So I got a lot of respect for the people who do it at a high level.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
There now. Love the answer from Kyle when he said about the quarterback position. Who's right we starting? You gonna give us a little hint? He goes, nope. Love that answer. It was straightforward. I know it's straightforward and point blank. That's all it was. So I think you got kind of annoyed about the question about the question of do you think you'll make your mind up by a certain time? I know they got a job to do. I understand that. Freshers got they got a lot of job to do. I know, but Kyle's not going to tell you who it is. People, I'm sorry to say, he's not going to let you know till at least game time. Sometimes Sunday afternoon. It could be any time with Kyle. That's how he is, So, well, I thank you guys for coming in here and. Just follow me on the latest thing about the Jeff Garcia video. I wanted to finish that off. It was a great and wonderful interview with David Lombardi. And I thank you very much, Nick, for coming in here. And, I got so much stuff on here. Thanks a lot, Nick, for coming on here, bud. Thank you. And I'll definitely see you next Saturday. All right. As long as I can make it here on time, I'll be okay. So, thanks a lot, Nick, for coming on here, sharing your point of view like you always do. And thank you very much, man. Thank you. Brother to brother, So, go from that to a lot of stuff on here. I'm sorry, guys. And of course, to read his question, that goes to Mark. That's what he does. That's his thing. He does that when we go on air together. That's his thing, not mine. So, and of course, please, everybody, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Please. All right. Hit the like, subscribe button. I really appreciate it. All my brothers would from an always faithful 24/7 podcast. All right. And if you want to join tonight, you can. You're more than welcome to. Okay. And this will pop up and very easy to do. Okay. I'll put them in the comments section. That way you'll see a StreamYard link. Just pop right on. It's really easy. Follow link. It says, "Hey, faithful, to join our show on video, go to the comments section and click the StreamYard link." It's ready to do. Or if you want to by phone, call that number. Please call to join by phone. Okay? All right, and I'll put you on the show. It's ready to do. All right? So, in other words than that, I want to thank everyone, especially Nick, who came on here. I want to thank you. And this has been, you've been watching the Always Faithful 24/7 podcast with me and my brothers. Me, Lawrence, Mark, Jizzle, and Troy. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you another time. We'll see you tonight. All right? And we out of here.